Hi, remember me? Yeah, I'm alive. I'm alive. Okay, so I've been gone, doing stuff, mostly working. My work schedule's been incredibly crazy lately. So for that reason, I just haven't been able to do a lot of stuff because I'm just tired all the time. In fact, right now I just got home. It's 3 a.m. I should be going to sleep because I have to get to work at 8 a.m. And instead, I'm gonna record and edit this video because who needs sleep? Anyways, I wanted to go ahead. I don't know if you've heard my new song yet, Chromatic. If you haven't, check that out. Links in the description. You could also just find the video of it on my channel. That's a thing.
Check that out.
But no, I wanted to go over part of it. Just as a really quick breakdown of the main sound design for the basses. It's pretty much just going to be two sounds, really, just because that's what the entire track is, just different variations of it and manipulations of those core sounds. So if you haven't heard it yet, this is pretty much what the drop's going to sound like. Cool. That's the thing. It's going to be divided into two things. So you got this weird ripping sound. Yeah, and then you got this layer of two sounds. And that's about it. There's a separate sub going on underneath. That's nothing too crazy. So the way this was made was using pigments. This entire track, as far as the synths go, was made using pigments. I made this song in 5 days because I had a trial for pigments that only lasted 5 days, and so I wanted to make something with it in that time to see if I could, mostly. But also, that's the reason why it's called chromatic, because pigments. It all has to do with color. That's about it. That's all. That was the entire reason. But if we go into the first sound and what it sounded like on its own, yeah, that unfreeze that, and then we can go into it. So before this little rack here, it would sound like this. Whoa, that's actually not that crazy. All right, it is a wavetable with the filter, and then a little bit of bit crushing, a little distortion, and then a high pass just slowly moving up with the resonance, which is going to kind of give it its vowel sound. That is pretty much the entirety of what this is. The actual wavetable itself doesn't matter a whole lot because of the... No, that is not what I meant to do. Well, I just changed the synth entirely. Whoops. Whoops. Not fixing that. But basically, it's just going to be this filter going into a downsampler, followed by a lot of post-processing. A little chorus, a little bit of frequency shifting into yo man, reverb, saturator, overdrive, more saturator, more distortion, light EQ, OTT, more EQ, another saturator. Oh, why do I do this? Anyways, that's all that sound is. And now it sounds totally different because of the changes I made to it. But when you bounce it out, you can get this sound, which isn't anything crazy. You can see the little transients to mark where it would normally be, it would normally be hitting. And that's just happening every time until you get to the second drop. Once you get to the second drop, things change up a bit. I don't think this was... Okay, so this is just the original... kind of torn up a bit more. Yep. And then just kind of repeating it again. And then for the second drop, when it goes into it, it sounds like this. Which is just the original, chop of 4 notes, except I extended it to make it 4 times longer than it should be and left the warping mode on beats, which is going to cause it to have this weird re-triggering sound. Which I thought worked out pretty well. And then it's got slight EQ stuff. But that's how that main little hit noise is made. After that, to actually create this next sound, which is also this. This is made using pigments as well. Same processing on the end, which is just going to add some noise, make it louder. But this is actually where I had a lot of fun with it, because this is using granulization or granular synthesis or whatever the fuck you want to call it. It's got granular in it. That's what I'm going to call it. Basically, it's taking whatever audio sample you put in, and it's just going to re-trigger a certain part of that sample over and over again. I probably should have looked up what granular synthesis means, but I didn't. Whoops. But anyways, that's how this sound pretty much is made. It's just sweeping through this audio sample, going both ways. Sometimes it moves left, sometimes it goes right. It does what it wants. But a bunch of filter movement to sync up with whenever it moves. Compressor and chorus, which isn't doing anything really, but they're there. And then the actual granular part of it is actually going to cause it to kind of re-trigger, because normally you can play this outright and the sample will just play itself, not an issue. But if you put it to granular, wherever the starting position for the sound is, it will only play that part and for as long as you set the time to. And then the density can affect how many different voices you can play and how often and how much it re-triggers. And then you got other stuff like this density and this size, which can affect basically like a delay. So all of that on this causes it to do... Yeah, and without the noise, and then all the post-processing, makes it a lot louder. And then I just took that, I went ahead and just exported a long sample of it. I'm pretty sure if I got here. Yeah, I took a much longer version of it, and then depending on where it was in the track, I actually just chose a different section of it. That way it didn't feel as samey. It would have some variation within it. And then I layered it with this, which is another pigments, go figure. And this one's a lot more basic. Reverb, the little chorus, EQ into saturator, which is pretty much just doing soft clipping. And then the pigments is on the other screen for some reason. Hey, there it is. This is using pigments analog function. Look at that. We did one of each, because the first bass was using wavetable. That second bass is using sample. Now we're doing the analog. Look, I'm using all of them. So this one's going to be saw waves, but it's having some FM be applied to it down here. And that's why it sounds really noisy. It's also got some unison to make it wider. This movement here is creating a lot of the actual movement. Otherwise, it sounds like that with those. Little bit crushing happening. Distortion, kind of some reverb, which is just going to get crushed as well. And then if I go to here, there's a macro, which changes so that on the second half, I don't know what that's doing. Let's see. Macro 1. Okay, it's affecting the pitch, start time, density. It's just going to make it wider, essentially. And then the tempo division, which is going to just make the time and how much it moves change. So we're going from that to... Oh, wow, man, that's awesome. That's crazy. And then I think I actually made another one for... Yeah, I just duplicated it down and set this one to be more in a triplet mode, because for whatever reason, you can't just switch between them. Like whenever you go into the LFO, the rate, you can do sync, or you can do sync triplets. I don't know, but that was a thing, I guess, that happened. And so that's where the main sounds are coming from. That's really neat. That's awesome, man. There are also some weird bass fills in here as well, which I could probably go over another time. That's fun. Then whoop. Yeah. It's mostly this one that I really like. Yeah. And then I think this one's one. Yeah. So that's all of them. I can go over the others later on. I need to edit this video. That's already going to take forever. I'm not getting sleep tonight. Anyways, thank you for watching. If you want to see the other ones, I can do that next time. But y'all have a good night. Thank you for watching this video and for listening to the track and supporting it in any way. Thank you.